All right, future aircraft engine inspectors, buckle up. We're going deep today on how to totally ace that interview and get your career in aviation safety off the ground.
We're talking safety in the skies, cutting-edge tech, and a career that's in high demand.
Exactly. And to help us navigate, we've got an awesome career guide from RoleCatcher, some common interview questions, and get this, insights straight from their AI platform.
It's like having a secret weapon for interview prep.
Love that.
Yeah.
So think of us as your co-pilots on this journey to interview success. Ready for takeoff?
Born ready.
Perfect. Now let's say you're facing that first question. You know, the classic, walk me through your experience and qualifications.
Seems simple enough, right?
Right. Maybe a little tricky.
Deceptively so, because what they're really asking is, can you prove you have what it takes?
Ah, got it. So we need to go beyond just listing jobs from a resume.
Absolutely. Instead of just saying, I worked as a mechanic for 5 years, think about the specific skills they're looking for.
Okay, so skills like aircraft maintenance, engine inspection, those kinds of things.
Exactly. And maybe even specific certifications you have. Then pick experiences from your past that really showcase those skills.
So like, did you ever troubleshoot a really tough engine problem or lead a team on a big repair project?
Those are the stories that will make you stand out.
Okay, I'm taking notes. And you know what else can help you stand out? RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, that's a game changer.
Right. It analyzes the job description and basically tells you exactly what the employers are looking for.
It's like having a personalized cheat sheet for your interview.
I love that. You'll know exactly what experiences to focus on and how to frame your answers to really make an impact.
It's all about being strategic.
Okay, moving on to a question that's bound to come up. How do you ensure you are following all safety procedures while inspecting aircraft engines?
This one's a big one.
Definitely high stakes.
Because safety is everything in aviation.
No room for error.
Exactly. They want to know you are competent, meticulous, and above all, responsible.
So how do we convince them that we are the safety champions they're looking for?
Well, first, showcase your knowledge. The RoleCatcher Career Guide actually details typical work conditions and safety precautions. Use that to your advantage.
Ah, so instead of just saying, I follow the rules, we can say something like, I understand that working on engines involves potential hazards like, and then list a few.
Right. And then follow up with, and I always take precautions, like, drawing from the guide.
Gotcha. Show them we've done our homework.
Exactly. And then take it a step further. Mention specific safety protocols and regulations you know.
Okay, like have you worked with any safety management systems? Are you familiar with FAA regulations?
Exactly. That kind of detail shows you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk.
And this is also where those certifications the guide mentions become really valuable.
Absolutely. Like the FAA airframe and power plant license.
Even if you don't have them yet, just mentioning them shows you understand the industry standards.
It's all about showing initiative and a desire to learn.
Now, what if they follow up with, have you ever encountered a situation where safety procedures weren't being followed?
Oh, that's a great question. And a chance to really shine.
Because it's all about how you handle those tricky situations.
Exactly. So have a story ready. And don't embellish, but pick an example that shows you identified a risk, took action, and made sure things were safe.
Okay, love that. Let's shift gears a bit to a question that's all about problem solving.
All right, hit me.
How do you approach troubleshooting and diagnosing issues with aircraft engines?
This is where you want to paint a picture of your thought process.
Analytical skills on full display.
Remember, the guide emphasizes critical thinking, troubleshooting, and operations monitoring as those core skills.
So instead of just saying, I'm good at solving problems, how do we actually walk them through our approach?
Well, think about a specific engine problem you've encountered, maybe a weird noise or a drop in performance. Then break down the steps you took to figure it out.
The guide mentions some common tools and techniques, like visual inspection and using a borescope. We could say something like, I started by visually inspecting the engine, then used a borescope too.
Perfect. And don't forget to mention the resources you use, like maintenance manuals or diagnostic software.
Those details show you're resourceful. You know what you're doing.
And speaking of knowing what you're doing, what about when they ask, can you describe a time you had to make a difficult decision regarding aircraft engine inspection or maintenance?
The classic, tell me about a challenge question.
They're looking for insight into your judgment, your decision-making process, how you handle pressure.
And the guide mentions that this job can be high stress. They're trying to see how you react under pressure.
Exactly. So think of a time when you had to make a tough call, maybe whether to ground an aircraft or approve a repair.
Oh, big decisions.
And don't be afraid to share a time when things didn't go perfectly. It's not about being perfect. It's about learning from experience.
So walk them through your thought process, the factors you considered, and ultimately the decision you made, and what you learned from it.
Exactly. Show them you're always growing.
Okay. Now, last but not least, let's tackle the question of keeping up to date in this ever-evolving field. They're going to ask, how do you stay current with changes in aircraft engine technology and maintenance practices?
This is where your passion for aviation really shines through.
The guide mentions conferences, publications, professional organizations.
All great resources, but they also want to see that you're genuinely interested in learning.
So don't just rattle off a list of industry journals. Talk about what excites you about this field. Are you fascinated by new engine designs? Are you into sustainable aviation tech?
Let that enthusiasm show. And maybe you follow industry blogs, experts on social media, or even tinker with engines in your spare time. Those personal touches make you memorable.
And you know what else can make you memorable? RoleCatcher's AI.
Of course. It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
The AI feedback feature analyzes your answers and suggests specific improvements. And the video practice feature lets you rehearse and get feedback on your delivery, your body language, everything. It's amazing.
It really boosts your confidence.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, but we're just getting started.
Definitely more to come.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we tackle even more challenging interview questions and really dive deep into what it takes to excel as an aircraft engine inspector.
You don't want to miss it.
We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of aircraft engine inspectors. We're about to tackle some more of those interview questions, the kind that can really make or break you.
You know, it's incredible how much valuable info is packed into this RoleCatcher Career Guide. It's not just about getting the job, it's about really understanding the entire career path.
Absolutely, and that understanding will shine through in a great interview. Let's dive into another question you might get. Can you describe your experience with regulatory compliance for aircraft engines? Now, this one might seem a little dry, but it's crucial.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter how skilled you are. If you're not following the rules, you're putting safety at risk.
Exactly. And in aviation, there's absolutely no room for cutting corners. They need to know you're not just competent, but committed to upholding the highest standards.
Okay, so how do we show them that?
Well, the guide mentions some key certifications, like the FAA airframe and power plant license. If you have those, definitely highlight them.
Makes sense. And even if you're still working towards those certifications.
You can talk about the specific regulations and training you're familiar with. Have you ever had to deal with a situation where an engine didn't meet regulatory requirements?
Ooh, that's a good one. Having a real-world example ready to share really shows you understand how important compliance is.
It's not just checking boxes. It's about safety every step of the way. Now, let's imagine they ask, how do you ensure that all documentation related to aircraft engine inspection and maintenance is accurate and up to date? This might seem like a small detail, but...
Oh, it's huge. Inaccurate documentation can have serious consequences.
Absolutely. It's about traceability, accountability, making sure everyone has the right info. So think about how you organize your work, the systems you use, maybe even specific software. Did you ever catch an error in the documentation that could have a big impact?
That kind of story really shows your attention to detail and your commitment to accuracy. You're not just signing off on things, you're making sure they're right.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to a question that's all about your hands-on experience. Can you describe your experience with engine overhaul and repair? This is where those technical skills come in.
The career guide actually breaks down the different stages of an aircraft engine inspector's career, from entry-level to senior roles.
Right, which is really helpful for tailoring your answer to your level of experience. So if you're just starting out, you can focus on the fundamentals you've learned and tasks you've performed, maybe under supervision. But if you're more seasoned, you can talk about complex overhauls you've led and the specialized training you've had.
So it's all about being clear and concise. Don't overwhelm them with jargon.
Exactly. Explain the types of repairs you've handled, the tools you've used, the challenges you've overcome.
And they're not just looking for someone who can turn a wrench. They want someone who can think critically and solve problems.
Exactly. Speaking of problem solving, what about when they ask, how do you prioritize and manage your workload as an aircraft engine inspector? This one's all about organization and efficiency.
And probably resilience too, right?
Yeah.
The guide really emphasized that this job can be demanding and stressful.
It is. They want to know you can handle multiple projects, meet deadlines, and stay calm under pressure.
So instead of just saying, I'm good at multitasking, how do we paint a picture of our organizational skills?
Well, share an example of a time when you had a lot on your plate. Maybe a backlog of inspections, an unexpected repair, a tight deadline. Walk them through how you prioritized tasks, allocated resources, and made sure everything got done.
It's about showing them you have a system, a process, and a track record of success.
Exactly. Okay, let's tackle one last question for this part. Can you describe your experience with engine testing and performance analysis? Now, this is where you show off those analytical abilities.
The guide mentions how important it is to stay up to date with all the technological advancements. So this is a good time to highlight any experience you have with those new testing technologies or software.
Right. Think about the types of tests you've done, the data you've collected, the tools you've used. Have you worked with any advanced diagnostics? Have you ever identified a potential issue through performance analysis that prevented a bigger problem down the line?
Oh, that's a great point. Sharing a story like that shows off your analytical skills and that you're proactive about safety. Really impressive.
Now, before we jump into the next set of questions, I want to circle back to RoleCatcher's AI. I know we've mentioned it before, but I can't stress enough how valuable it is for interview prep.
It's true. The AI feedback feature is like having a personal coach reviewing your answers.
Right. It can pinpoint areas where you can be more specific, more impactful, more tailored to what they're looking for.
And the video practice feature is amazing. You can practice your answers and get feedback on your delivery. Everything.
It really is a game changer for building confidence.
Welcome back, everyone. We've made it through those tough interview questions. But now for the really exciting part. What happens after you land that aircraft engine inspector job?
That's when the real journey begins. And the best part is, it's not just a job. It's a whole career with tons of room for growth.
Yeah, the RoleCatcher guide actually maps out some pretty clear career paths, right?
Yeah.
You can start as an entry-level inspector and move all the way up to senior roles, even become a chief inspector leading a team.
Exactly. And one of the biggest keys to getting ahead in this field is never stop learning. Aviation tech is always changing, so you've got to stay on top of it.
Makes sense. The guide mentions conferences and workshops, things like that. Not just for the info, but the networking too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Building those relationships with other pros is huge. You learn from each other, get advice, maybe even hear about job openings before anyone else.
That's gold. And what about certifications?
Yeah.
The guide talks about some key ones like the FAA inspection authorization. Those seem pretty crucial for those specialized roles.
They are. They prove you've got the expertise and you're serious about professional development. Shows employers you're committed to staying at the forefront of the industry.
So if you're ambitious and want to climb that ladder, those certifications are a must-have. Anything else in the guide about getting ahead?
Yeah, it mentions that specializing in a certain type of engine or aircraft can open up some cool opportunities.
Interesting. Like you could become the go-to expert on turbofan engines, or maybe focus on inspecting business jets.
Exactly. The more specialized you are, the more valuable you become to certain employers. And it probably makes the work more interesting, too.
I bet. I mean, there's always something new to learn in aviation.
That's the beauty of it. You're not just punching a clock. You're always growing, always contributing to the safety of the whole industry.
It's amazing to think about, really. Every inspection you do, every decision you make has such a direct impact on people's lives.
It does. It's a big responsibility, but it's also an incredible privilege. You're quite literally holding people's lives in your hands.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I just want to say to anyone out there thinking about a career as an aircraft engine inspector, go for it.
It's challenging, no doubt, but it's also so incredibly rewarding.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher has everything you need to prepare for that interview, land the job, and build an amazing career.
Their career guide, their interview questions, their AI platform, it's all gold for anyone who wants to really take off in this field.
Absolutely. Huge thanks to RoleCatcher for all the amazing resources and for helping us guide you on this journey.
And to you, our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you feel informed, inspired, and ready to take flight in your aviation career,